Hi, I'm Mike Glanning. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, we'd love for you to hit subscribe, and we'd certainly love for you to hit like. Recently, we have all been talking about the news that is broken about two well-known Christian leaders, one a musician and one an author, who have lost their faith, dropped out of Christianity, or left the church or something like that. This thing happens every so often. People get burned out. People lose hope. On and on the list goes. And so I've been stopped in the hall going, "Hey, what do you think? What's your response to this? What do you think we need to do?" Well, one, I think we need to be real careful about making anybody a Christian celebrity. Jesus is real clear in the New Testament that there is one hero, and that hero is Jesus Christ. Everybody else is just a pointer to him. If you see something in my life that encourages you or blesses you, that's great. But don't forget that the source of all of that is Jesus in my life and Jesus in your life. The only hero we have in the church is Jesus Christ. And I think we do a lot of people a great disservice when we put them on a pedestal and tell them to be the professional Christian. Living in Nashville, I know a lot of these people. I know a lot of the famous writers and musicians. And I can tell you, there is an enormous strain on these brothers and sisters to live a certain way or to live up to a certain expectation of their followers, their fans, whoever. That's not necessarily healthy and not necessarily true, at least true for them. In their authentic walk. So I think, one, we need to be real careful about putting anybody on that platform. Two, ministry, however you do it and however you express it, comes out of the overflow of Christ in your life, of Christ working in your life. And I don't know any of these individuals. There are some other situations that I'm familiar with, and almost without exception, these major falls happen because the basics were forgotten. And what I mean by basics, I mean you get too busy to pray. Now, sure, you're saying prayer before you have your food. You're saying a prayer when you get up in the morning. But you lose the opportunity to slip away and lose yourself in the wilderness of some kind, to just have the time to spend with Jesus and remember why you do what you do. Your schedule becomes overwhelming. Everybody wants you. Everybody's calling you. Everybody demands your time. Jesus faced the same problem, but Jesus had the discipline to slip away from people, to get out into the wilderness. And what happens is you become so overwhelmed that you lose touch with Jesus. You forget your scripture reading. You forget your prayer time. You forget the important relationships like your marriage, because you're bringing home just the leftovers, and that never works. Now, if you work on this staff, there are a couple of things required of you. One, I will stop you from random times, and I will ask you two questions. One, what are you reading in Scripture? Now, I hope you read a lot of books, and I hope you're a lifelong learner and all of that, but nothing, no way, no how takes the place of Scripture in the life of a believer. That means you have to be reading in that Bible every day. Not only reading, but chewing on it. That's the word meditation. It means to chew on it. Take a bite of Scripture and chew on it the rest of the day so you can kind of savor it, get every ounce of meaning out of it. Where are you reading? And the second thing I want to ask you is, what is Jesus teaching you? The radical teaching of Christianity is our rabbi is alive. Our rabbi, our teacher, has promised if you open up the Scriptures and sit down, he will meet you there. And he will teach you just like he taught Peter, just like he taught James, and all the rest. So I want to know, if you are a servant in the church, if you are doing some kind of kingdom work, if you're a Christ follower, what are the answers to those two questions? What are you reading in Scripture, and what is Jesus teaching you? Now, if you work on this staff, and I walk up to you and you can't answer those questions, I will send you home. Is not a good answer. I will send you home. Why will I send you home? Because you're a danger to us and you're a danger to yourself. If you're not living out of that overflow of what Christ is pouring into you, you can't hold the ocean in a thimble. If you're not doing your ministry out of that overflow, then sooner or later you will run out of stuff to give. Ministry is giving yourself away. However you do it, it's giving yourself away. And if you're not being replenished by the presence of Christ in your life and his ministry of grace to you, sooner or later the outside will become greater than the pressure on the inside, and you collapse. That's what happens most of the time. The other thing that happens is you lose community. Now, I don't mean that you're not hanging around with people, but you don't hang around with people who will tell you the truth. I have several people in my life who relish the moment when they can tell me the truth. You need brothers like that. If you're a guy, you need brothers. If you're a woman, you need sisters. There's a different dynamic when you're sitting with guys that you have lived with a long time, walked with a long time, who know you, who know the games you play, and who know the lies you tell yourself, and who can pull you aside and say, listen, here's what I see. Here's what you're telling me, but what you're telling me and what you're doing doesn't line up. Who don't mind asking you the hard questions like, if I called your wife right now, what's she going to tell me? Are you living out at home with your children, with your wife, with your family, with your mother and your father? Are you living out the Christian life that you talk about? You lose that kind of contact, and when you do that, you lose your grounding. And sooner or later, you will become too empty to give what the world demands. Now, make no mistake, the church is a wicked mistress. The church as a body will reward you into self-destruction. We'll give you rewards, we'll give you raises, we'll give you trophies and plaques. And when your wife leaves you, when your husband leaves you, we'll fire you the same day. So you have to learn to take care of yourself and put that as a priority, that I'm going to make my spiritual health one of my priorities. I'm going to protect that at all costs. It's the model that Jesus gave to us, and it's the model that you and I have to keep if we're going to stay in this for a long time. The ministry, following Jesus, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You don't get a reward for the first 100 yards. You have to run the whole race. You have to finish the race, and you do that by taking care of the fundamentals. My name is Mike Glenn. I'm the senior pastor at Brentwood Baptist Church, and this is our YouTube channel. We're glad you're part of it. So hit subscribe, hit like. We'll see you next time.